Hey, and welcome back to Summit Railway. Today I've got a nice indoor project because it's raining outside, and we are going to assemble some really nice switch levers and some switch lanterns as well. Let me show you. I've bought both the switch lever and the lantern as a kit opposed to ready to use installed. That would have cost me some extra money, and I thought, well, let's assemble it myself and let's see if I will regret my decision. Okay, all the bits and pieces are ready for installation. Now we can follow both instructions simultaneously to make all of that one piece. So far so good. I have assembled the switch lever and all the screws are just loosely fitted together, since I need to loosen some of them, I think, to install the lantern. So the next step will be to follow the instructions of the lantern and put all those pieces onto the switch lever, and when that's done we can install all of that on the supporting plate, which will then mount to the switch. And that's how it goes when you do something for the first time. I was about to install this switching rod and I realized it doesn't fit. And then I looked closer at some pictures in the manual and I realized I have installed this switching rod right here on the wrong side of the weight. So right now it is on the right side and it has to be mounted on the left side of the weight. Also, those two screws up here are the wrong way around. The head should go in from right to left, and on the left side here we should have installed the nuts. Okay, I have fixed my mistakes. The main switching rod right here is moved from the right side to the left side. I also turned around those two screws. The screw head is now on the right side and I moved the nuts to the left side. And now it looks way better. So we are right in the center of this slot right here, and that looks good. But now I have a second problem with this tiny switching rod that is supposed to move the main lantern shaft. And it can move it until the screw in the very end touches the base of the rod. Let me show you. So as you can tell, we are touching up here and I can't move the weight to its fully opposite position because this screw touches there. I finally figured it out. Look at that. Now it runs nice and smooth. Okay, the problem was, like I told you, the clearance between this screw and this notch right here. The screw always hit at the back of the notch and it couldn't move about around here, around at that point. And what I've done, I did a little bit of bending to this switching rod, as well as removing some material back here to make this notch a little bit longer. It was just 0.5 millimeter, and in conjunction with the bending of the rod, now it works great. Okay, that's good. Now we have to install the lantern. This is kind of how it will look eventually. Of course, all of that is dry fitted. This wobbly mast, I will tighten the nuts in the bottom, then it will be nice and tight. But I need to disassemble all of that again anyways, because I need to paint it. The bottom part will be gray and the lantern head will be black. But before I can do that, I want to install the light which will go on top in the lantern, so the lantern can be lit at night. As you can tell, I've disassembled the whole switch lever again, but since I need to paint it anyways, this wasn't too much work. Then I had to drill this hole through the whole shaft. There already was a tiny hole, but it was too tiny for my wires to go through. And those are the two wires connected to a 24-volt light bulb. To assemble all of that, we are going to feed the wire through the shaft, just like that. And the light bulb will stick on top of the mast. And then we can insert the diffuser into the lantern head and put all of that on top. This will stick like that. Of course, it's not aligned, but I can simply rotate it as I wish. So that's not a problem at the moment. And then we have the lantern top, which I probably will be able to solder or to glue. We will see what I do about that. But then we've got a lantern, and I'd say we are going to connect it and see how it looks. Okay, ready for the test run. I slowly increase the voltage. And that seems about right. So this is a 24 volt light bulb, but I will run it at a maximum 16 volts and maybe even a little bit less. So I get a nice damp light. As you can tell, the whole switch lever is disassembled once again. This time it's because I like to paint it. And since I have two more kits of each, so 2 switch levers and 2 lanterns, I want to get those kits ready for paint as well, so I have to paint only once. And regarding the paint, we have a base layer which is light gray, and on top of that the lantern will be black, and the weight and all the mechanical parts will be dark gray. So that's the plan. Let me get all of those ready for paint, and then we can start painting. Look at that, we are fully prepared for paint. I built myself this little contraption here to be able to paint all of those tiny bits and pieces quite nicely. The paint has dried overnight, but it looks really nice. You might notice I was a little light at some areas with my spray paint, and that's intentional because I didn't want to screw up the threads of my screws and threaded pieces. So for example, up here I've got a some paint missing, and I will touch it up later. But for now we will make the final assembly and see how it looks. I finally got it assembled for the most part, but I realized I made a huge mistake by painting all the parts, because the paint is very sticky and all the mechanical linkages wouldn't work properly anymore. So I had to use a wire brush and clean off all the moving parts. That's why the paint job looks very rough right now, but I can do a little touch up later. The most important part is that it will work. Now I need to install the lantern and the light inside the lantern. and put it all together, and then we can put this switch lever onto a actual switch and test it out. And of course I mounted the top the wrong way around, but luckily we can just turn it. I will glue this top piece with some glue, but for now I will just set it in place. And I think this looks great. Does it work? Yes. It still works. Very good. After the better part of 2 days, I finally have assembled all 3 of those switch levers, and they look amazing. But I made some crucial mistakes. One of them, I painted too early and at the wrong places. I got some paint between those moving linkages, and the paint was a little bit sticky, so it led to malfunction of the mechanical linkage. Well, I could have known that, but I figured it out too late. Then I had to remove most of the paint to make them work and paint them later on. That took a lot of time. And then I made a second crucial mistake regarding the left and the right switch lever. As you can tell, they are different. This is a straight one, and those switch levers are 90-degree angled to the switch. That has a reason. You will see it when we install them on the layout. But what I didn't notice, the lantern should go on the left corner where it is right now. And I proceeded to mount them right next to the switch lever, and that was a big mistake. The manual states how you should mount them in case of those 2 switch levers, but I didn't read it properly, and that was my mistake. It took me a long time, and now I have to live with some holes right next to the switch lever, which are no longer needed. Okay, but other than that, I'm very happy. They look amazing, and we will soon set them outside and mount them to the switches on the layout. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we will see us in the next one. Bye!